So, with so many conversations, so many topics, and so much scrutiny going on in the world, I wanted to address one of the biggest topics that seems to come up in the black community, and that is the gay agenda, where most African Americans will refer to someone like myself pressing my lifestyle choice, or someone, say, as Lil Nas X, is pressing their lifestyle choices up on their children. This is a topic that is kind of mocked, kind of made foolery by people like Lil Nas X, by people like myself, just based off of our own perceptions and of life and what reality truly is. But it is something that I feel like most African American individuals definitely need to have a better concept and understanding of. So if you are interested in hearing my opinions and or thoughts, you definitely can keep saying it. In no way, shape, or form, and am I trying to slander, demean, ridicule, or make anyone feel as if they are, how can I put this nicely, not the smartest. And I say that because I dislike the word ignorant. It's a nasty word. I don't like it. I've been on Earth for 29 years, you know? And coming up, I didn't have any idea of what it meant to be trans. I didn't have someone to look up to. I didn't have someone to talk to. I didn't have anyone in my life experience that was trans. I didn't even have anyone in my life experience that was gay. So the thought, the feeling, and the idea of wanting to be with the same sex was not something that was easily accessible to me. That was not something that someone like myself in the 90s was able to easily understand. So it's hard to understand when you hear about the gay agenda that is thrown around so much in the black community. It's hard to hear that when, especially for someone like myself, when it was not something that was around that. Not being accustomed to, not having any knowledge of trans and or gay individuals coming up in life. I grew up in a very Christian home. My grandma had myself, my siblings, my aunt, my dad when he wasn't in jail, in church, you know, praising God's name and his wonders and his word. And this was something that bothered me heavily, especially now coming up hearing these words of these agendas, because if anything, I was taught to love someone who I may not love. I was taught to, you know, take up and take care of something that didn't really resonate with me. I was taught to stand in a position that I was not comfortable to stand in. I was taught and I was trained to be a certain way that I did not see fit for myself. And it kind of makes me wonder what the real agenda here in African American communities to throw the child that is LGBTQT out of the door. And there are several issues with this, first and foremost, because I don't understand how anyone can throw their child outside of their home for not for pretty much just choosing different. And when I say choosing different, it isn't a different that harms anyone. I'm not sure in what way, shape, or form we as a community have gotten to this concept that just because someone loves different, just because someone sees different, just because someone exists and chooses to live different than what has become accustomed and you are trained to believe, that it's wrong. That's one of the most common things I've heard is you cannot compare the two and it's apples to oranges. But when there were racial issues going on, racial tension was at an all-time high. Black people were segregated. Black people were made to feel lesser than. Black people were made to feel ostracized, and we were ostracized. We were literally believing that we were lesser than. We were literally put in positions where we were forced to receive lesser than those who saw themselves as greater than ourselves. And in this situation, I see it as the same thing. For someone who is black, for someone who is trans, for someone who is a part of the LGBTQT community but is also black, you know, I see it as the same thing, and no one can tell me any different because it's how I feel. I see black people who bleed the same as me, who piss the same as me, who were literally come from the same social society and or setting as myself, you know, judge and or ridicule me because of who I love, and they tell me that I am wrong. Well, is it wrong when white people told you that you were wrong for just existing because of the color of your skin? No, it was not. Was it wrong when white people were beating you? Was it wrong when white people were murdering us because of us just existing? So I don't understand how we as individuals lived through, existed through, have grandparents, ancestors who walked through this, can go out and treat people the same way. And you can't say it's apples and oranges because it's the same damn thing. It's the same damn premise. You are literally becoming the people who hurt you. And hurt people hurt people. I think there is so much healing that needs to be done. I don't think. I know that there is so much healing that needs to be done within the African American community. I think that there are barriers that need to be broken down. I think that there are men who need to understand what it means to be a man. I think women need to understand what it means for men to be men and understand the fact that men can be emotional and men can be, empathetic. Men can have feelings. And I think that many and all individuals of the African American community need to understand where many of our issues, many of our angers, many of our hate stems from. And it stems from, the hate that we feel within ourselves. If many of us were healed from the things that hurt us, we wouldn't hurt people the way that we do hurt them. And I think for any and everyone, situation and their circumstances different, but for this one in particular, there is so much hate in the African American community towards someone like myself, someone like a Little Nas X or, just a random gay person on the street. There is so much hate. And for what? Because someone chooses to be different than what you were told. I believe that many African Americans have truly become the people that hurt them, simply because we are trying to place many people are trying to place their perceptions on what reality is onto others. Many people are trying to tell people what's right and what's wrong. And many people are shielding themselves and their children from what's real in the world. Like I said, I wasn't taught how to be trans. I wasn't taught how to be gay. It was something that just came to me as an adolescent. I remember being in elementary school, putting shirts on my head just because it made me happy. I remember liking boys in elementary school because I did not like girls at all. I remember continuing this trend and watching people who looked like me, bled like me, lived in the same social setting as me, mock me, ridicule me, judge me, and I still stood there with my head held high and was like, what? I watched this, I felt this, and to hear that there's an agenda like someone like myself trying to coerce someone like your child into living this lifestyle, to following this lifestyle circumstance is complete and utter bullshit. If anything, many of us are just showing up and showing out because we actually can. Just like you have the strength to show up and show out as an individual, we actually have the strength to show up and show out as individuals. I can't tell anyone what they are, how to exist. I can't attach a label onto anyone. But what I can do is tell someone how, and just like yourself, we can tell individuals how we feel. We can tell individuals who we are, and we can show up and we can stand out, and we can let individuals, pass perceptions of us that they want to pass. And most of the perceptions are not nice. And I want to address another issue that is a common issue, especially that I've noticed within, the circle of individuals that I hung around, in the circle of individuals that others I see hanging around. If you are in a situation where you have to be the friend that is, ridiculed, if you are in a situation where you have to be the friend that is mocked, where you are receiving lesser than anyone else. And I say this because I am a trans woman who engaged with, like I've said this before, women. And I received the bare minimum from the friends that I call friends, and these were women who were natural born women. But I felt as if I myself was pretty much a token trans bitch, and that was something that I definitely felt hanging out with natural born women. I felt a lot of hate. I felt a lot of jealousy. I felt a lot of animosity just based off of who I was, and I never understood it, and I still don't understand it. And I'm not saying that is an issue, but it is one of the issues that I definitely want to bring up in this video, because I don't understand how someone can smile in your face but then talk shit behind your back. I don't understand the fakeness, and it's not to say that it doesn't go on within the trans community, but I think that healing needs to happen for African American women, where women don't treat other women like competition, where women won't see someone like myself and see me as competition, but just see me as someone who can literally teach you how to do hair, who can do your hair for you, who can give you makeup tips, who can literally help you be a better person, where you don't see me as a competition, where you feel as if you have to dog me out to make yourself feel better. I always like to say there's nothing worse than hanging with someone, believing that they support you, your lifestyle choice, and who you are, and to find out somewhere in the midst of that, that this person literally does not support you at all. This person is not your friend, and this person has not a single care for your best interest, or does not care for the best interest of you, or your health, or just anything that you have going on. To anyone and everyone who faces any issue like this, where you feel as if someone is ridiculing you, mocking you, or making you feel lesser than because you are trans, because you are whoever, understand, and I've said this before, anyone who places a perception on you that is simply not true is just that, a perceptions. People have their own opinions, people have their own realities, and they will place them on you to make themselves feel better, because the perceptions and the realities that they are really given to you are really the perceptions and the realities that they feel about themselves. So make sure you are aware of this, and make sure that you do not provide. I can't give any and everyone a 40-minute video on the gay agenda, and I'm not going to. My time is very valuable, as is the time of those sitting here watching it. So you take what you took from this video, because there will be more. This is a serious issue that needs to be talked about in depth, and I feel like this is a serious issue that needs to be talked about amongst others. This is just literally the start to a conversation that many people will continuously have, who look, who feel, who breathe, who exist just like I do. In no way, shape, or no form, like I said at the beginning of this, is this meant to make someone feel lesser than? Is this meant to make someone believe something completely different? It's literally just a perception and the reality of someone who is on the receiving end of being called, or not even being called. This is just a perception and or the reality of someone who is told that their lifestyle choice is an agenda to affect someone else. And I just want to say to anyone who believes, anyone who feels that someone like myself, someone like, you know, anyone who looks like me, walks like me, talks like me, breathes like me, exists like me, you know, is trying to coerce, trying to push, you know, a narrative or a place, something that you created. First and foremost, it's something that you created. You birthed that child, you made that child. It is not our job to, you know, do any of these things. Yes, you will have people in this world who will try to coerce, trick, pull, push your kids, your infants, your friends, your family, your loved ones, probably your boyfriend, your husband, hell, into certain aspects of life that isn't for them. If someone is interested in something, what's wrong with them being curious about it and finding out? You know, I think trying to hide something from someone, trying to push something or steer someone away from something that they are curious in, says more about you than it does about the person who's just standing there living their life indoor existent, waiting and ready to give information to those who want to know. So to anyone who watched this video, know that there will be more conversations, not just with myself, but with others. And if you are interested in having conversations, you definitely can reach out. Always be choosing to see the picture from a different perspective. Stop being so one-sided. Stop viewing life from one way. Stop being conditioned to believe one set way of living, and understand that this life, just like the ocean, is very vast. There are many possibilities. There are many individuals, just like there are many creatures living in the ocean. Find yours, stick to it, and don't worry about the rest.